explode up, make it come all at the same time.
This is the Rick Chamberlin Show, an up-close look at Dayton Flyers football through the eyes of the coach.
Get width and depth, square up, that's it.
Now, here's your host, Mike Hartzell.
Right there, that's it.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Rick Chamberlin Show. And, Coach, one in the books. You go to Youngstown last Thursday and take on a Penguin team that's very good, full scholarship group up there, and you played them real well, though.
Mike, this team was ranked 24th in the country in preseason FCS poll and playing at third place, opening game. What an atmosphere. And Thursday night was very exciting for our players up there. And we played tough. We didn't play great, but I thought we played a good enough football game to come away with a win.
I don't know if many coaches like Thursday night games. You like that routine of Saturday, but circumstances, you have to play different days. So how did this one go for you?
I tell you, Mike, playing on a Thursday night, your first game of the season isn't bad because you haven't gotten into your routine yet.
Right.
So that worked out well, but we left on Wednesday and got up there and practiced under the lights, and then Thursday we were in the hotel and had meetings, and then played the game on Thursday night, came back, got back home about 3:30 Friday morning. I did let the coaches sleep in a bit. We didn't have to come in the office till noon.
That's good.
But then we started working on the game and then Duquesne and met with the players that night, and then they've had yesterday and today off, and we'll get back at it tomorrow on Monday.
What did you notice about Youngstown State that was maybe different from Illinois State the year ago? I mean, yeah, your guys were going to be a little bit more confident because they'd been there before. But what did you notice about this Youngstown State team that maybe you didn't know?
Well, I tell you, we knew that they were going to be a physical team with their size and their athletic ability. And but the thing that I was very proud of was that I thought our players were in great condition. And that was to our favor there in the second half. I think because of the size of Youngstown State and what they were, the humidity of that night and the way the game was going, I thought that we were in a little better shape going into that second half.
All right, let's take you up to Youngstown State. Thursday night action, and pick it up as the Flyers get pumped up and ready to play. And as they get things going here early on in this game, it was the ground game that was doing you damage.
And we knew that was going to be a tough chore for us because of the size up front and the size of their backs. And all but for about 4 plays, Mike, I thought we handled the running game, but we gave up 4 big runs there that led to touchdowns.
But the size was an issue. We'll get to that in a minute. Here's Will Bardo throwing to Gary Hunter from the end zone.
I tell you, that was a big pass there because we were on the 2-yard line. At least this gave us breathing room, but their front was very physical, very aggressive, and we gave up 3 sacks, but 2 of them were in this first drive. After that, I thought our offensive line did a much better job, and Will was able to avoid the rush several times.
Bardo goes down inside the 15-yard line as the Flyers go back on defense again, and here comes Kurt Hess looking to make a play, but it goes the other way as the Flyers pick off a pass.
And I thought we really got in well into Kurt Hess's mind there with coverages and jokering, and our guys making great breaks here. Ryan Schwenke, a sophomore nickelback, made a big play for us.
Now starting to pick up some yardage offensively, kind of getting loosened up a little bit.
I felt like from the second quarter on, Mike, our offense really gelled. The timing with Will and the receivers and our running backs, we were able to move the ball.
Opportunities. You take it down to the 25-yard line. Here's a pass over the middle, and it's deflected and right into the hands of a red jersey.
That was a big hurt for us, a scoring opportunity. And anytime you have a chance, especially in a game like this, you want to take advantage of it. And Will threw it behind Ian here, and it ricocheted off a couple guys, and they came up with the interception.
Yeah, he had an open guy down there, but not able to get it to him as Youngstown State comes back on offense, and it was plays like this that really hurt.
This is one of the 4 plays I was talking about. We missed tackles. This is the fastest player on their team, a sophomore here, and we had opportunities to tackle him back closer to the line, but I tell you, Devin Morgan there, Mike, I was really proud of how he hustled to knock the guy out of bounds.
This sets up up the middle and into the end zone. That's what I was talking about, the size. Their offensive line is so large that they can open those holes.
They can. They were average close to 300 pounds. Their running backs are 225. And if you gave them a crack, it was going to be tough to bring them down.
They get it into the end zone for the touchdown. Then right before halftime, Youngstown gets it back, but you do something that teams don't usually do to this team, sack the quarterback.
Sack the quarterback. Last year, they were 5th in the country in FCS and only allowing 2 sacks per game, but Pat Dowd, our senior defensive end, gets to him here. And 3 other occasions, we knocked Kurt down as he was releasing the ball.
All right, so we go into the halftime locker room. The Flyers trail 14-0. Defensively, you did a great job. Offensively, you need some points on the board.
We did, Mike, and that's something we have to do this year. We have to put points on the board. We had an opportunity there. We didn't take advantage of it. And at halftime, looking at the faces of our players, we were okay. We really were. There was confidence there and still into it.
Chris Oakes and his offense didn't have to do a whole lot of adjusting at halftime, did they?
No, and like I said, from the second quarter on, I thought our offense was gelling, and we were moving the ball there. And better pass protection, and then our running game was a lot better there. So things were good.
All right, let's see what happened in the second half as the Flyers pick things up. There you see Will Bardo getting loose before the second half starts, and the Flyers go right to it offensively but have to kick it away. A nice punt here, and they lose the ball on the ground, and the Flyers pick it up. There's a big break.
Big break, and we always talk about what's going to decide most games, turnovers and kicking game.
Special teams that time comes up with a turnover as the Flyers hurried down to cover the ball and kind of got in the receiver's face a little bit. That one's airmailed out of the end zone.
It is. I think Will thought the coverage was tighter, and so he threw it away there to give us a scoring chance.
But the field goal is up and in from Will, and you get 3 points on the board.
We get 3 points. Momentum, Mike, coming out in that second half.
14-3, we're about halfway through the third quarter, and here they come again, pushing the ball up the field. This is probably the 4th of those 4 runs you were talking about.
It is. It's one of the 4 there, and as I said, we would play really well, but all at once we'd give up a big run, which puts them in scoring position.
They're able to power it into the end zone to go up 21-3 at this point. You're thinking, okay, we've got to get something going, but it's not been easy all day long. But finally, Will Bardo throws it downfield, and I'm not sure how he caught that ball.
I tell you, Gabe Maces made an outstanding catch, but that was something I felt our offense was doing all camp. Will on a scramble was able to find open receivers and get the ball to him.
Robert Washington was wide open there for a touchdown. The Flyers get on the board, and all of a sudden it's 21-10 game.
21-10. Momentum. Momentum's coming here.
And here come the Flyers after Kurt Hess. He overthrows it in a pick, and Dayton's coming back the other way.
Matt Bianco there on a great pick, and I thought at first, Mike, he was going to score as he was running down the sideline.
He had room to run. They finally were able to trap him out of bounds at about the 12-yard line, but the Flyers in business and down close this time. It's not going to happen. There's 1st and goal on the inside, and you turned away there. You were turned away a few other times. Now as we get into the fourth quarter, turned away on 2nd and goal, and what was happening here in this situation?
They were just more powerful than us. And then we went to a pass here, and they got pressure on us there. The size, I thought, dominated us up front, unable to root them out of there. We took a timeout. It was 4th down now, so you wanted to talk about it. And Mike, when you're less than a yard, you've got to go for it.
I was going to say, the decision not to kick, you got to go for it. And there was an opportunity, but it was knocked down, and the Flyers come away with nothing.
He actually, that defensive end, that outside linebacker, intercepted the ball. It's quite a catch. Watch this.
Oh, that's right. Okay, this was the interception.
Yeah,
yep.
Right there. It was quite and Will had a guy open over in the corner there. Their player just made an outstanding play.
So still 21-10 ball game, still opportunities with almost the entire fourth quarter left to play in this game, and Youngstown State kind of struggling a little bit offensively. Now they break off a nice one here.
Yep, this is their 4th big run, Mike. But watch here. Kyle Sabetti comes out of nowhere to take him down. Kyle, it didn't have an angle, Mike. He was behind the guy from the line.
And that was just straight speed as the Flyers, though, weren't able to finish off the rest of it. Youngstown State goes to 1-0 as they beat Dayton 28-10. Will Bardo, 21 for 44 passing, had to throw it around a little bit in the opener.
with their defensive front, it was tough to the running game. Just physically overpowered us sometimes, and we couldn't get the gaps open. We got Connor loose a couple times, but had to rely on Will there to scramble around and find open receivers.
You look at that situation and the way things happened, this team's going to build off that loss.
And I told the team after the game, Mike, we weren't into this just for a moral victory. We didn't want to just come in and keep the score closer than people anticipated. We had a chance to win, and they know that, and all except for a few plays here and there we could have. So it shows us, hey, we got a pretty good team, and we just have to build on this.
All right, the Flyers have their home opener coming up this week against Duquesne. We'll talk about that, but when we get back, Will Bardo, the maturity of a quarterback. That and more in just a couple of minutes, so don't go away. Welcome back to the Rick Chamberlin Show. And Coach, you've got a young man playing quarterback who's played quarterback for you for a couple of years now. And you go back to 2010, Will Bardo was thrown into the job after Steve Valentino finished off a couple of year great run, arguably between Kevin Owing, Steve Valentino, the two best quarterbacks in Flyer history, and then you throw in a guy who has never played. That's a tough thing to do.
It's tough, Mike, and the quarterback position, you know, he's the man on offense. That's where all the spotlight is, and the young man that has to make the plays when we need it there. And recruiting Will, we felt like he was the type of young man we wanted at that position. Athletic, could throw the ball, had won state championships down at Highland High School in northern Kentucky there. Engineering major at Dayton there, so we knew he was bright. And Will has grown as a quarterback over his 3 years as a starter.
He's the guy, you look at Will Bardo, he's what, 6'3", and you look at him, you think, okay, he's not going to be able to run the ball too much. But that's probably as good a part of his game as it may be a little bit better than passing.
It is. He's so fast. He's one of the fastest players on our team, and it was interesting after our game with Youngstown State. I know their coaches very well, Shane Montgomery and Joe Tracy, the defensive coordinator. And he said, Rick, we didn't realize he was that fast. They had trouble in the second half of containing him.
Will Bardo, step by step, learning how to play quarterback at the college level. Had a chance to talk to him about that maturity.
One thing that over the summer I really wanted to stress, being able to throw the ball much better, because that hasn't been as strong as what I wanted it to be in the past 2 years. And I even said that to the team, you know, I haven't been the player that I've wanted to be in the past 2 years and the player that I know I can be. So that's one thing that I really stressed and worked hard on over the summer, so I'm excited to show that off.
Bardo is in his third season as the Flyers' starting QB. Like just about every young guy on the UD roster, he sat and watched. And then all of a sudden, he became the guy who followed Steve Valentino. No pressure there.
It was. I mean, maybe I was too young to even notice, but Steve was an awesome player, and I learned a lot from him and Coach Wilding. And Coach Hoyne helps a lot with settling you down and really preparation for the game each week. So it was hard, but I'm into the swing of things now, so I'm good.
Bardo is a dual threat in the backfield. He's no stranger to tucking the ball and running, but he admits there's a lot more to it than that.
I feel like, you know, I've always been confident with being able to run the ball, but last spring I felt like I really improved on my run reads, so like on the zone read plays and stuff like that. I've improved on, you know, knowing when to hand it off, when to keep it, and I think that's been a big improvement over the past year.
Will can only be as good as the guys around him. The senior likes what he sees in the protection up front and the guys who get the ball.
I just think we're all so confident. I don't know what it is, or just that extra, you can't really explain it, but it's just that extra little boost in there or whatever it is, but we've got the confidence and it feels good. Something feels right.
Okay, you're on the defensive side of the ball, but you've dealt with quarterbacks quite a bit. There are really two kinds of them. There's the Steve Valentino, the guy who's going to get in your face and rah, rah, rah. There's the Will Bardo. more calm, even-keeled kind of guy. Bardo doesn't need to be like Valentino, does he?
No, and Mike, that's what we tell our players. Don't try to be someone you're not. And Will is not that fiery type young man, that guy that, as you said, get in your face there. He's a more reserved young man. He's an engineer. He's an analytical thinker and just thinks through things and goes about, does his job. Is a great teammate to have around. The players respect him and respond to him there. Just a different personality.
The work in progress that is Will Bardo, though, is throwing the football. As he gets better throwing the football, he's going to be so much more difficult to stop.
Oh, what a threat. And Will can throw the underneath balls, the out balls. He's got a strong enough arm. It's his accuracy on the deep balls. And we saw improvement on that in camp, and so we just want that to carry over into the season now.
All right, we are halfway home in today's edition of the Rick Chamberlin Show. When we come back, we'll sit down with another one of the captains. Colin Manier did this same thing a year ago. He'll talk about being a two-time captain. All right, it's time to continue to meet our captains here on the Rick Chamberlin Show. You've got 4 of them this year, 3 on the defensive side of the ball, and it's rare when a young man gets to be a captain 2 years in a row. It doesn't happen much.
It doesn't happen much there, Mike. They get voted in as a senior, and then they have a 5th year of eligibility, and they come back, and of course, they did such a great job as a senior. The team says, I want him as my captain again.
One of those guys is Colin Manier, a linebacker on your side of the football. You work with the linebackers all the time. And what's his progression level been from the day he stepped foot on campus?
Oh, I tell you, physically he's gotten better. Just the idea of his strength, his size, speed, he's good enough at the linebacker. But what I tell you, Mike, he has learned to play a college linebacker spot, how to sense things, where to see plays are developing. We call it football sense, and he has outstanding football sense. He knows where the ball's going a lot of times before the ball's snapped.
If you read Tom Archdeacon in the Dayton Daily News this week, you saw some pictures of a toothless Colin Manier. You first saw him when he came for recruiting because he didn't have his plate in.
That's right. He came on his official visit, and he forgot his partial plate because he had his 2 front teeth knocked out, and he comes walking down to shake hands with me, and he smiles, and I see this big gap, and I say to him, I said, I don't need to see any more film. You're a linebacker. You have 2 front teeth knocked out. We want you.
Colin Manier has done a heck of a job in his time here with the University of Dayton Flyers. Back on Picture Day, we sat down and talked about his role as a 2-time captain of Dayton's football team.
To me, it's a great honor being chosen last year and this year. My peers, if they think of me as one of their leaders, then that's a great honor, and I hold that deep in my heart. On the field, yeah, I like to get loud, talk a lot, but public speaking is not my best. So when the team gets called up, sometimes I like to have maybe the other guys talk because they're a little bit better at speaking like that, but. On the field, when the game's going on, it definitely comes easy to me.
What hasn't come easy for Colin is back-to-back seasons of not contending for a PFL title.
Yeah, the past 2 seasons we've had a lot of close games, close losses, and it's always come down to the last quarter, and we haven't made the play when it happened, and the other team has. So this year, with our experience, leadership, captains, and just our senior class in general, I think we're ready to go. We're going to be able to make those plays in the end of the games and definitely come out with a PFL championship. Everyone who's going to be playing has experience in games before, so that's definitely going to help us when it comes down to, digging deep in the 4th quarter.
Pre-med major, so he's hitting the books pretty hard as well.
He is, and he does quite well in his academics there, Mike. So you have a linebacker who's smart, who has football sense. That's the total package.
No studying needed, though, for our Flyer 5 questions. We put Colin Manier to the task. If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
My favorite superhero has always been Wolverine, so I know he probably has maybe a little bit more than one, but I would choose to be him. He's always been my favorite since I was growing up.
I wish I was a better what?
being on the football team, and lately we've been eating at KU, so KU food gets a little old, so I wish I was a better chef, so I'd be able to cook some food myself.
Life after college is what?
Scary. I wish college could last a little bit longer. I guess that's why I did come back for a 5th year, but yeah, a little nervous about it.
10 years from now, you expect to be what?
Wealthy, hopefully find a profession that I enjoy doing.
And finally, if being a Flyers taught me one thing, it's?
Definitely camaraderie with all of our teammates. I was actually just talking to Bennett about it. This is one of the closest groups of guys that we've ever had at Dayton, so definitely the camaraderie, friendship, loyalty to each other, definitely is what being a Flyer is all about.
Flyers with one game in the books. It's time to come home, though, and play a football game on Saturday. I know you're looking forward to that, and we'll have a closer look at the opponent. The Duquesne Dukes come to town. That and more when the Rick Chamberlin Show comes right back. Welcome back to the Rick Chamberlin Show, and it's time to play a home football game on Saturday at 1 o'clock as the Duquesne Dukes come to town. Duquesne's a team that a year ago you went to Pittsburgh and they got you.
They got us, Mike, and it was a typical Dayton Duquesne game where it was decided in the 4th quarter. We had the lead majority of the game, missed an opportunity of a touchdown that was called back that would have helped us there, of course, in the second half, and they came back in the 4th quarter, put together a couple drives to end up winning.
Let's take a look at some of the highlights from last year of this game as the Flyers came out pumped up and ready to play and moved the football well. Here's Gary Hunter making a nice catch, and a big old lineman goes, "Sit down." This kind of threw him down to the turf. Will Barto's going to rush one in for the touchdown, but like you said, they came up with plays down the stretch and enough plays to come out and get a win.
And to get a win here. Their quarterback, Patterson, last year, a great pass here. He gets hit as he's throwing it there, makes it here. So they're a good team, Mike. They're a very good team.
So the Flyers have Duquesne coming up, and it's Duquesne's coming off a win yesterday.
They beat Albany, and Mike, we watched that as a staff because it was streamed. So we're getting the film, of course, today, but to watch them, and they put together a very good game with a redshirted freshman at quarterback.
It is a 1 o'clock game at Welcome Stadium. Hope to see you out for a football game. Should be a great day as the Flyers take on Duquesne. You look around the Pioneer Football League, only 2 teams won, and it's the 2 new teams. Stetson and Mercer both got wins.
And a lot of it, Mike, the teams in the PFL playing up, playing those FCS scholarship schools. Jacksonville played Delaware there, and Campbell played Charlotte, a new FCS program there. So it's still going to be a challenge, the PFL is.
All right, so the Flyers with a challenge. It's the home opener on Saturday at 1 o'clock at Welcome Stadium. Coach and I will be back to tell you how it turned out next Sunday on the Rick Chamberlin Show. Have a great week, everybody.